You're listening to Blind Chats with the Backroad Chicks.
Welcome to the Late Night Cruise.
The Late Night Cruise.
We're your hosts,
Courtney
and Brienne. Buckle in.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Shifley scores! Whoop, 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 whoop. 1-0 Winnipeg, Dallas.
Sorry for the noise, folks. We are...
Not sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry for the gains.
It's kind of terrible right now. Dallas is up 3-1 in the series. Series 2.
Yes.
Of Lord Stanley's Cup playoffs.
Yes.
I hate it. I don't want to talk about it.
I like Winnipeg and Dallas, as we know. So they're my two favorites.
The game is on right now, and we were listening to it, but I'm trying to avoid it now.
Yeah, that was giving me anxiety.
Yeah, it totally
I think I stopped breathing Niners 10 times.
Well, because Dallas could take it today. I'm not saying that they will.
They could.
Go Jets. But I don't want to think about it, and I want to talk about it, and then there is going to be a result by the time this episode is done recording.
Sunday, you buy a whole seat, but you only need the edge.
Welcome back to another episode of Blind Chats with the Backroad Chicks.
We are your hosts, Off the Rocker.
Oh, we are definitely off our rockers.
I don't even have a rocker. I'm so far off of it.
I know.
We're talking about something great today.
It's like one of those chairs, like the, an office chair that you rock back and forth on, and then by 2 or 3 weeks in, it's rocking side to side and back and forth because it's coming off the rocker.
I've never had one of those, but I do spin in my chair all the time. I give myself the spins because I love that feeling. I'll just close my eyes and go, I'm 5.
Mm-hmm, right? Do you let your legs swing out?
No.
No?
No, I like to have them tight in because the aerodynamics makes you spin faster.
We're adults, we promise.
I don't want to create any wind resistance. I want to go as fast as I can so the room's like, wow, wow, wow. I used to go to tavern just to buy a glass of their house wine.
Yeah.
And so my ex could drive us home and I would sit there having the spins because I love that feeling. And just one glass of their house wine did it.
Oh my gosh.
It was epic.
I can believe that.
Yeah. I love rides.
You love rides.
I do.
I'm going to take you to a carnival?
Yes.
Or one of the local fairs?
No, they're not as good as they used to be. The Red River X has also lost its pizzazz.
I've only been to the X one time.
What?
Yeah.
I traditionally used to go with my dad every single year.
Oh, I think it was 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, every year they lose more rides. I used to write down all the names of every single ride.
Oh, jeez.
Every time. Every year I'd be so excited to write down all of them. And then every year I'd go back and I'd be like, Zendar's gone. G-Force is gone. There's no more inverter. There's no reason to live. Speaking of no reason to live.
Oh, very nice segue.
Thanks. It just happened. So organically. You know who doesn't deserve a reason to live?
Who?
The Diddler.
Ooh.
Sean Combs. Did he do it? Yes, he did.
Did he do it? I don't know. I'm not following the trial. I think it just started, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not following it at all. I don't even know what he's accused of. I have not been paying attention at all.
Oh, like the pedophile stuff and sexual assaults. I don't know if we could say the R word, but it rhymes with great. Drop the G.
Yeah.
Multitudes of things, men, women.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, it's been coming out.
Oh dear.
And I'm sorry, but my stance is if anybody ever touches a child in an inappropriate way, they deserve death.
I completely and totally agree.
And I have no remorse for that.
Nope.
And I don't know what this disgustingness is of the minor attracted persons movement.
Bullshit.
Right? In my opinion, then anyone that agrees with that, and I don't really care, take me off the air, cancel me, whatever. Anyone that agrees with minor attracted persons is essentially saying it's okay to reproduce and then rape your child that you created.
It's not funny. I think,
personally, no, it's not funny.
Hold on a second.
Grape.
Hear me out.
Hearing.
I think that minor attracted persons should absolutely announce it because that makes them bigger targets.
Yes. But I also feel like we can't let them roam free.
That's what I'm saying. They wouldn't for long if they self-identify as an MAP.
Unless they're in a very, very, very liberal community that supports MAP. I feel like they would have to be, you know what I'm saying? Like if they're in the cult, like because the people of a feather flock together, if there's a huge group, community of them all supporting each other and advocating for that crap.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
And Lord knows with everything going on around the world, it's entirely possible that could totally happen. You're right.
And that's my scare. That's my fear.
You're right.
is if they travel in a huge flock like that, it's power in numbers.
Ooh.
Though, I mean, one A-bomb and...
Dude.
Just kidding.
No, they already tried that. It didn't end well.
Oh, this is true. But no, I think they should absolutely be chemically castrated.
Yep.
Given the death
At
penalty,
least.
if they're multiple offenders over and over and over,
So
you
we
do
know
not harm children.
So I'm guessing we know your stance on the topic of today's episode.
Oh, we didn't even announce it.
We
That's
didn't.
right. I just dove right in.
Our topic today is
Capital punishment.
capital punishment. Are we for or against it?
And if for those of you that are younger and don't know what capital punishment means, it's the death penalty.
Yeah.
Now, in all fairness, to kind of play off of that,
Mm-hmm.
if made is acceptable, then in theory, it's okay to execute a person for a good reason.
But are we talking in the eyes of the law? Are we talking in a spiritual sense? Are we talking, like, what kind of sense are we talking about the death penalty here?
Well, for the death penalty. I was just going to say that's a whole other can of worms. It's a lot of questions. We could go in 82 rabbit holes.
This is true.
Where I was going was, if they're going to appropriate MAID for good reason, because it's ethically acceptable, then why would the death penalty not be ethically acceptable if one person is habitually harming children in a sexual way? Then is it not ethically responsible to execute that person to save the masses and take out one person?
Yeah, like, why is the death penalty applicable to, like, first-degree murder, but not pedophilia?
Correct.
That's a good point, actually.
Right? And if you could choose to ethically end your life for an illness or something or whatever reason, then ethically and morally to save the masses and innocent children, I think it's perfectly acceptable to execute someone who habitually can't change.
I think that it begs a deeper question, like, what about, like, if they had the option, like, if you're going to put people on death row, like, for pedophilia, I would fully support that, by the way.
Yes.
But they have a choice, MAID or chemical castration.
Oh. Ooh, I like where that's going.
You're like, you could save yourself, but there's no hope for you.
Oh, you know what, though? I feel that we'd have to go a little further with the option of chemical castration.
Of course we would, of course.
Chop off their hands. Not in an inhumane way. I'm not saying I'm inhumane. I'm just saying you would surgically remove their hands and chemically castrate their genitalia.
I would just think...
That way they can't touch a child inappropriately with their hands either.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they could still do that.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, I understand that they could go and get prosthetics.
Yeah.
But I feel like they should be banned. Like, prosthetics would be, I don't know.
Well, I feel, okay, but, like, maybe, like, go a little bit further with the chemical castration. Maybe remove the parts.
Yes.
Or, render them...
Yeah, remove them.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to go...
Or render them non-functional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
I feel like that's what you get.
Yep, you can either MAID or... Yep, totally. I like that. Then they have an option, so now it's a choice.
There's a reason we're not in charge.
Because the world would be a better place?
Well...
It absolutely would.
Well, I think that, yeah, maybe.
They're lucky I'm not God.
Yeah.
People are very lucky I don't have that power.
I think that would be a terrifying day.
You are spared.
Oh, boy. I mean, I'm sometimes on the fence about the death penalty.
Go on.
And I'll say this because there are people that are innocent that are behind bars.
Yes, I agree.
It does happen.
Stephen Avery, yep.
It does happen.
Brendan Dassey.
What?
Making Murderer.
Oh, right. But for the occasions that does happen, it does afford people a chance for redemption.
Well, I think too, and I have made that argument, I remember getting a C on my paper in university, only because my professor did not like my stance on it, not because of the writing quality, which is bullshit.
Really?
Yep, 100%.
Did they
U of
do that?
W. Yep, sure did. It was ridiculous.
Well, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. There's no freedom of speech.
But I don't remember what this was for, and it was for a position of some sort. I don't know whether it was government, whether it was like, I don't know, it was like CIA or something like that. But
okay.
There was a psych test.
Oh.
And somebody, there was a pivotal question, and the question was, do you sacrifice one to save the many?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And the answer was the make or break of the psych test. And I
think it depends.
Exactly. Like, I feel like that is it's such a gray question.
You can't ask that.
You can't be so black and white.
Because it depends. Are the many all a bunch of, delinquent, terrible people? Or is the one a terrible person and the others are innocent?
Which begs the question, is it a basic human right? Or is it, based on your acts in this world? Because, should that make a difference because we're all basic humans?
Well, I think on a fundamental level, the lowest or the deepest level of it is everyone should have the right to life.
Right.
However, if you breach the human rights to life, which is don't, kill thy neighbor or sexually assault or whatever it wants to be, if you violate another person, then now we go into the next level, in my opinion, which would be moral rights and values.
Okay, so it comes secondary as to basic human rights.
I mean, I would think so, because it's like tabula rasa. People are born kind of as a blank slate. So if you start off as a person, you're just at a zero baseline.
Right.
Once you go through life, if you habitually violate boundaries and the rights, human rights of others and right to safety and protection, now we're having a moral obligation to see what we do with you. And if you are continuing either like taking lives, like you're a serial killer or a pedophile and a habitual offender, then I think that's absolutely save the masses if they're innocent people.
Yeah.
Now, if it's serial killers taking out serial killers, well, then you got like Dexter. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you got Dexter on your hands. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'd be okay with that.
Right?
But
where I was going quickly was when I was saying I was in agreement with it, and kind of how you said, well, there's innocent people in there. If you know 100% beyond a reasonable doubt they did it, then I'm in full agreement.
Yeah, okay.
If there's any question in mind, then obviously I'd say err on the side of caution. Don't do it.
Right.
Because you don't want to execute someone who's innocent.
Right.
Get more research, figure it out.
Yeah.
Leave them behind bars or whatever until you do. But if you absolutely know, I like your idea of giving two options.
And then another thought or question is, should the person on death row being executed, should they get to determine their manner of death? Should it be a question of electric chair, lethal injection, that kind of thing? Should they get that option? And if the answer to that is no, if the state or the whoever, if they determine, if the court determines how they're punished, should their crime reflect the manner of their death?
Oh.
Like if they murdered someone in cold blood and it was like a brutal, like horrific crime scene, should they have the same? Should it be for an eye for an eye? That's kind of.
Oh, you know where I'm going to go with it. Okay, I can answer this.
Hey, this
for
is
myself.
why I asked the questions. I'm
You
curious.
know how I function.
I do.
Okay, I want you to guess what you think I'm going to say. Think of me on all levels of my being.
Well, I mean, I think that you're going to go an eye for an eye, right? I think that you're going to, I don't know.
I'm just curious where you're going.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't think that you think people that cold-blooded, murder in cold blood, or people that are, rapists or pedophiles. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I can't say that word. Rapist.
Are we not allowed to say that?
I don't know
air?
if we can say that word. I'm not. Well, we can put a warning.
Right, we can just bleep it. We'll just bleep.
I can bleep it.
Yeah, we'll bleep it. We'll go,
yeah.
Serial rapist.
Grape. So if, I know that I feel like your opinion would be you should absolutely have it done back to you. Yes, but this is fun for me. The justice seeker, eye for an eye, do unto others kind of thing. And it's like you hurt someone knowingly and willingly, that like person in me that wants to seek justice, and you better feel 10 times the pain that you've dished out. Really, it'd be like, you know what? If you've done that, then you deserve the chair. Just brutal, torture yourself until you get it. Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I also very much believe in keeping your hands clean, taking the moral high road, always doing the right thing, and then my Christian background.
I was gonna say, like, the Christian background is a huge point to this.
And I don't like getting my hands dirty. You know what I mean? I don't like playing dirty pool. Don't play dirty pool. I fantasize about it.
Oh,
but actually acting on it, like I said, I told my therapist that I haven't turned my feelings into felonies, so we're doing good.
We're doing all right.
Right? So my moral high ground is like, you know what? Even though we would love to torture them to death like they did to all those people, morally and ethically, is it the right thing to do? I would say no. Would it feel good to serve them? Yes, but it would be a waste because they'd be dead and gone anyway. So we would feel more guilty about ourselves. Well, I would feel more guilty about myself and not be able to put my head on the pillow at night knowing that I did that, when I could have just said, we're going to go ahead and put you to death. That is the consequence of your actions. We're going to do it humanely. So our hands are clean. We can sleep our head on our pillow and you're gone out of this world, no longer harming people.
Well, it's an interesting, conceptually, an eye for an eye is a biblical concept, but so is thou shalt not murder.
Right.
If you're giving someone the death penalty, technically you are killing another human being.
Correct.
That is technically murder.
Yep.
Now, that is an interesting fact, because when they used to have the electric chair, there was a way that they did it. I know
or it can make it worse.
No, where it was several, for the electric chair, it was several switches, and several people would flip the switch so that it couldn't be determined which one of them actually
was the
triggered
the death?
Triggered the death.
Yeah.
So it was, a very morally gray area for those people that believed that it was a sin to kill, to have the death penalty.
And I will just say this, even though I believe in God, I'm not questioning him. The Bible is very contradicting sometimes.
It's a lot of interpretation.
Yes.
But I think so it was a question that was obviously raised because that was a thing,
yep.
Right? So on a moral note, on a spiritual note, do those two differ for you? Like, does your spiritual side say take the high ground? Does your moral side say an eye for an eye?
I would always default, and I hate this about myself. I hate being a good person. Sometimes I wish I was just brutal and evil,
yep.
and like a sociopath. But I would always default in the end to taking the moral high ground. Do it humanely so you can sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
At least you did the right thing and they're gone, and you did it as humanely as possible. That's what I would do. But I was also laughing because when you said the lethal injection, there was errors when they administered the injections in the wrong order and tortured them.
Yes.
But I also, here's a food for thought kind of squirrel.
Yeah.
I actually think the lethal injection is more humane than MAID.
I think it might be.
Because now that I heard how MAID actually works, I'm like, that's torture.
Yeah, but you're pretty sedated. I don't think you're aware.
They're kind of sedated, but I mean, you get an anxiety pill, you get a sedation, and then you get something that stops your lungs from functioning, so your lungs are filling up with water. You're essentially drowning someone and prolonging it. They could live for days, choking and slowly dying.
Ay, ay, ay.
I think that's ridiculous. You take your animal to the vet, or some people take them out behind the shed, but like, you take your animal to a vet, bam,
yeah,
injection
one
done.
Shot.
Why would you not do that for a human? I think that's more humane than letting them linger. You don't know when they're going to go. I think that's kind of disgusting.
So then what are your thoughts on palliative care then?
Ugh.
Yeah.
What can you really do? I guess at that point it's kind of up to the person. I mean, I do agree with make them as comfortable as possible, make them not feel any pain.
Yeah.
But if they want to go, then let them decide how they want to go.
Okay.
Like, why is there no lethal injection option for a person? Why is there no euthanasia? Why is it only there for an animal?
I don't know.
I want to know the answer to that question. And then why is it okay to be inhumane upon voluntary death, but it's not okay to be quote unquote inhumane for something like the death penalty for someone who's done terrible,
horrendous things. You're right. I totally agree.
Fancy that.
That's interesting. That's actually, I've never thought about it that way.
This is where my brain goes on these rabbit holes.
I like it.
So I have to be in favor of capital punishment. If I can't be in favor of MAID or palliative care, if I'm not in favor of capital punishment, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, now I'm going to really wrinkle your brain. Not really, but I'm going to ask you
You probably will. I'm excited.
I'm going to ask you a very controversial question.
Ooh, okay.
Pro-life or pro-choice?
Again, gray area. In my opinion, there's never black and white.
I agree.
You always have to live in the gray. There's reasons, like on our episode of getting arrested, there's always a reason to break the law.
Yeah.
And I believe in pro-life. However,
there are circumstances in
correct.
Which, right.
So if there was a rapist situation,
right,
or something like that, or
the health of the mother was at stake.
Yep, the risk of the mother, the risk of the child.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that they're going to have a low quality of life and it's not going to be good for them or the people involved, then I'm okay with pro-choice.
Yeah.
It's always, in my opinion, for the greater good of the people involved.
I think that the choice is, okay, let's be honest, you've done the deed, right?
No, I'm a virgin.
Nah. I'm
born again.
But do you know what I mean?
And violated again.
You
sorry, not sorry.
You have sex knowing the risks. Okay.
Yes.
You know that it's a possibility.
Yes.
So in that instance, you have sex knowing that there is the potential for pregnancy. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless your parts don't work or you don't have them anymore.
Or if you're being stupid about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that should not give you the right to choose whether or not that child lives because you made a dumb decision.
I agree.
Or you weren't fully protected, or, birth control doesn't work sometimes. Condoms don't work sometimes. Mm-hmm. It happens. You know this going in.
Yes. If you go into it knowing there's a potential to create a sex trophy, then it's your obligation to honor that reward of your labors.
Correct.
And I can't stand those mothers that habitually abort kids like it's a sporting game.
Yeah, I agree.
And then they get that makes me so angry. Or they have the child and then they just pop them out, give them up for adoption. That really creams my corn.
I
know we're scrolling, but that's not okay either.
I think that is the better alternative.
Yes and no. But did you know that, I can't even say this on air, we'll get canceled. There are certain populations that still get paychecks, even if they've given up their child. They still get an income.
Yeah.
That is not okay because who's paying for that?
I guess
we
I'm
are
thinking,
taxpayers.
I guess I'm thinking more in terms of if they've given the child up for adoption, that is the opportunity for a couple or a person that wanted a child that couldn't have one.
Yes.
It gives an opportunity.
Yes, it's the better alternative.
Right? Like, that's where I was kind of going with that. I think that the whole politics and the whole, like, child, you know, the money side of...
I just had to voice my disgust.
I totally understand.
For habitual aborters or habitual pop and dump.
I'm totally with you.
Right?
On that. Yep, I agree.
Yep.
So, in that sense, I'm definitely pro-life.
Yes.
Right?
But it all depends. It's circumstantial. You can't have a blanket rule that applies to everything.
Right. And I think that, you know, the way the law works is very different in terms of, you know, capital punishment, for one thing.
Yes.
Like first degree murder, second degree murder, manslaughter. Like, there is no...
I'm totally cool with if somebody murdered once or something like that, keeping them locked up and not giving them the death penalty.
Yeah.
I'm talking more about, this is just me, habitual.
Yes.
When it is an actual problem. Psychopaths.
Yeah. Psychopaths, serial killers, that sort of thing.
Pedophiles.
Yep, I agree. Take them off the street. Get rid of them.
If they can't be rehabilitated, they've shown that.
Yep.
Why are you letting him out? Like, come on, Winnipeg, you let Chubby out or whatever his name is. High risk reoffender for graping and sexual assault. And you just let him back in the streets in Winnipeg.
Really?
Clap, clap, Winnipeg police. That's go, Manitoba Justice, go. Glad I quit that job. Walked out, thank you very much. But I'm just saying, you know that we live in the murder capital of Canada.
Yeah, we do.
For starters. Yeah. You know that Winnipeg is a high-risk situation for drugs, gangs, crime, poverty. Why in tarnation would you take somebody out who's already a high-risk reoffender for all these kinds of crimes, including weapons, all this stuff, and put them into a city where the highest chances to reoffend, and you're putting everybody else at risk? Yeah, like right there, those people should be charged for negligence.
And I wonder what, because I mean, you can kind of predict recidivism with a certain margin, but you can't. There's no exact science.
No. So then why wouldn't you take that person and put them into a different community? Why wouldn't you put them somewhere else where you could properly do like restorative justice? Why would you put them somewhere where there's so many triggers and temptations and variables, and it makes it easier for them to reoffend?
Yeah, like you put them back in the same situation they came from. Exactly. It's not going to improve. It's just going to get worse.
Exactly.
That's true. That's
100%.
fair.
And when you've been behind bars for so long, you don't remember how to amalgamate back into society. And people naturally default to what's comfortable, not what's new.
That's very true. Comfort is definitely a thing.
So why would you do that? Now you're putting the masses at risk. So whoever made that decision to let them out in good conscience, I think should be charged with criminal negligence. If something happens or somebody else gets hurt, that person should be able to be charged too.
Definitely don't disagree with you on that one.
It just really chaps my ass.
Yeah.
And not in a good way. So, yeah, I think there's so many avenues to go, but I kind of want to know what our roadies have to say.
Yeah, roadies, what do you guys think? Like, is capital punishment yay or nay?
And what circumstances is it yay, or is it always nay, or is there gray areas, or how do you feel? How do you feel about MAID? How do you feel about
palliative care?
Yeah, morals, ethics, human rights. Where does your mind go when we talk about these things? Please put in the comments, because I'm actually dying to know.
Yes, I am really, I'm very curious.
Yeah, don't just hear us. I want you to pause right now and appreciate that we're asking you these questions.
Yes.
And if you haven't already liked or subscribed or shared and asked somebody to like and subscribe.
Yes, please do.
Is the time to do so and type in the comments.
Yes.
Your views on the death penalty.
Yeah, the death penalty, yay or nay.
So I know we're kind of talking about death and murder. Red rum. I see red. Red. But crime and punishment in general, I feel like we should kind of segue.
Yeah, we should.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
First time offenders. In what circumstances and would you give what charges to a first time offender? And does it differ from people who have offended more than once? And another variable, how do you feel about dependent on their age?
Okay.
It's my turn to ask you.
Think about it. I think about it this way. Okay. My first thought is murder. My first thought is taking another life. And I'll tell you why. I feel like your age and their age should be taken into consideration.
Okay.
Because if you're taking another life, if you're very young and you've taken another young life, I think that you should be punished according to the potential years that you have taken. So,
ooh, that goes deep.
Right? So if the average human lifespan, say it's between 70 and 80, right? If someone who is 20 has killed someone, they should get 50 years.
I kind of like that. I've never actually thought about it that
because you have taken someone's life away. You should pay for what you took.
I fully agree, and I don't like playing devil's advocate, but I'm going to throw it in. So I'm not asking this question as if I were to be asking it if I was a judge, but I could see a judge or a lawyer posing, well, how can you determine if a person's going to live that long? They would just try and play off of that offshoot.
Of course they would.
And of course they would go that route. So they would probably say because it's indeterminate, you can't sentence them that long based on a variable that can't be proven. That they would have that log of life expectancy. So I could see them going that way and kiboshing, but I really like that idea. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's a good one that you posed.
Yeah, like that is, and I mean, but that's just for murder. I mean, obviously it would be very different. If it was premeditated.
First degree.
Like I think that there should be, you'd get extra for that.
Now, how does age factor into that? Let's just go with, because obviously the prefrontal cortex and intelligence centers in people of certain ages hasn't fully developed, or then is there an intellectual disability? Is there a mental diagnosis? Like we could go off on that. Like what's that ear eater in our city? What's this Vince Lee? Yeah. Changes his name and now he thinks he doesn't eat ears anymore. But or chops off heads and eats them. But
that's right.
I'm just saying, so let's say a 13-year-old kills another, like an 8-year-old or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Can they really premeditate that and actually understand what they're doing fully and properly?
That's a very good point too.
And how would you punish them? And then how did they do it? Was it accidental? Is that what they meant to do? Were they in full knowing?
Well, I think that if it's premeditated, I think that there absolutely can be a component to that. And that is,
Now, my friend died at a very young age. He was, I believe, 17. They got in a fist fight outside the bar at Norvilla. A lot of people probably know the story and the person. And the guy punched him. No intention to kill him. But he fell down, and the way he hit his head, he ended up dying.
Okay. Well, that wasn't premeditated.
Not premeditated, but it was still an offense that killed somebody. So manslaughter, essentially, in a sense. Now, I mean, those charges could go up or down, but in circumstances like that, how do you morally decide? Because it could go 100 different ways, and depending on the lawyers or the judge you have at the time, that's another variable too. What's the mindset of that person? How do you make that decision?
What's the mindset of that person? What's the mindset of the authorities involved?
The jurors at the time?
What was the situation of what was the circumstance of the argument, of the fight? What caused the fists starting to fly? How much alcohol was consumed? I think
who made the first move?
Yeah, I think that would be a very detailed exploration. I think that you'd have to ask a lot of questions. I think that if it was I don't know. See, I feel like inebriation is it is a reason, but it's not an excuse.
Correct. Yeah.
You choose to drink that much. You choose to get.
It's a variable, but not an excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that would, if it's a first-time offender, if it's someone that's never had any trouble with the law, if mitigating circumstances, I think that if there is, genuine remorse, I think that's
the big one. I agree.
Yeah. Like it's the same thing as a car accident.
Yep.
Like if you get into a car accident and someone is killed in said car accident, you obviously didn't premeditate that. There, like it could be potentially. Okay. But like,
I know.
You know where I'm going with this. The idea that it's, a completely innocent, it is an accident. Like it is not with malice, right?
It was just unfortunately an effect of the circumstance.
Yeah. Circumstance, wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. Nobody's had anything to drink. Nobody's had any drugs. Nobody's had anything. Like it's a clear day. Like things happen.
Okay. So let's go with that because I'm curious.
Okay.
Should that person be charged if they're completely, in theory, innocent and it was just a very, very, very unfortunate event? The person who hit the person, how would you morally, in your opinion, charge them?
I think
with what?
I think that would depend on the circumstance of the accident. Who is at fault? If someone runs out in front of your car,
right,
and you kill them, that's not your fault.
I would agree.
Okay. If it's a fender bender or if it's, is it a high speed chase? Is it this or that? Obviously. Okay.
Let's go with this. Let's pretend it's 50-50 at fault.
In that sense, I would say probably my thought on it would be, if they don't have a history of reckless driving, if they don't have a history of anything like that, I would think maybe have something on a record so that there is the record of something happening, but the punishment wouldn't be...
There wouldn't be a chargeable criminal offense.
There wouldn't be a criminal offense.
Right.
Because it's not a crime being committed, it's an accident.
And it'd be under the Highway Traffic Act here, technically.
Right.
But, yes, because I'm going to the scenario, let's say the person who inadvertently killed them was speeding.
Yeah.
Just minimally, but still speeding.
Yeah.
Above what's deemed acceptable. And the other person also was at fault and cut them off without signaling in, like, inappropriate distance between a car.
Mm-hmm.
Toll 50-50.
Yep, I agree. Like, I think that there should be, because the record of the incident has to exist.
Yes.
Right? There has to be, because if that's a precedent for something else.
Yep, totally.
If it was entirely an accident, but maybe it triggers something in that person and goes, okay, like I got, like maybe that was a little bit exhilarating, and maybe that was, if there's something underlying, if there's something in terms of, the chemical in their brain, the way that their brains function, and maybe that does something for them and they are looking to repeat it.
Yes.
Right? There has to be a record that something happened once.
Yep. And there was always a paper trail.
There's a paper trail. It's not something that they'd be able to get away with twice.
Agreed.
Right?
I have a fun one. I already know what my answer to this is.
Okay.
So I already know the answer, but a murder in self-defense.
Ooh.
Because the old battered woman syndrome, let's just say you're like some 5'4".
I think that speaks
correlation, and you get like some 6'5" burly dude coming at you. He's trying to grape you.
I think that would be the equivalent of the death penalty.
I don't think that person, like, let's say, so in self-defense, I slashed his jugular to get him off of me to save myself.
Totally justified.
Because I felt
Yep.
I thought my life was in danger. Yep. I had to protect my life. I feel that I would not get charged.
Totally justified. I agree.
Right?
Yep. Totally.
So I think it's self-defense. It's with acceptable force, right?
Yep.
And I know there's gonna be people out there arguing against it, but no, I did. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm happy to hear those opinions. Tell me why you think I'm wrong.
Yes.
If you think I'm right, tell me why you think I'm right. If you think I'm wrong, tell me why you think I'm wrong.
Yes, please hit us in the comments.
Because maybe we're looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah,
it's entirely possible.
It's true. We're not, but
we're not experts.
I was gonna say we're not looking at it wrong. But
we're not experts. These are all opinions. Okay. If we didn't make that clear in the beginning, these are opinions.
Okay, I so need to squirrel.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, we might not be experts, but let's just go existentially all the way back to, you can even pull it to Adam and Eve. Who determines who's an expert?
Oh,
right?
Okay.
How do you get to decide who is an expert in moral situations, and it can actually decide and have that authority to make the opinion that they can decide if a human life should be taken, if someone should be charged? Who has that much power to essentially play God over someone's life?
Like, do you think
who makes that decision?
Should it be a singular judgment? Like a singular...
Well, how does anyone have that power? How do you deem them an expert on that? How do you become an expert on what's right and wrong and who gets what sentence? Who created the rules in the first place? Who wrote the law? Who gave them all the power to do that?
Okay, I see where you're going.
Right? You see, I'm just pulling at threads here. I'm just going deep down the hole.
Unraveling.
And this is why I'm up at between 3 and 5 in the morning, just sitting there thinking.
Right? Interesting.
But it's true. Even if we were going with God created existence, well, then nobody else gets the decision to make that. And for people who don't believe...
But in that case, would that not be biblical?
Right, totally. But that's what I'm saying. So let's say we're talking from a biblical sense. Only God can determine that. So no one on this earth can actually make that decision.
Interesting.
So you couldn't technically actually incriminate anybody because you don't have that power.
So, well, then the death penalty question would be moot.
Right.
Right.
Right. I was going to say correct and right at the same time. Right.
Interesting.
You see?
Uh-huh. I do. That's very interesting. That's an interesting thought and a good way to look at it. Like, it's...
Right. So when we're saying we'd have to, because we're not the experts, well, why is the judge the expert? Why is that particular lawyer the expert?
And what right would we have to decide between humane and inhumane?
Exactly. Who wrote the textbooks that gave them the ability to get this education?
Well, I think that morality is, morals and principles and values are something that you either have or you don't.
I would agree, but it's a subjective topic.
It is. Because
there's an argument
but I think
for
that's why
ethics on either way.
But I think that's why democracies work.
Do they really?
Well...
Do we want to go down that hole?
I don't want to talk about... I'm not talking politics.
No. I know what you mean.
I'm talking about a jury of your peers. Like, if they're going to sit there and review the evidence against you and they're going to tell you, yeah, you know what? You did that's wrong, right?
Yep.
Like...
But there's so much bias, too, and it's life experiences. How do you pick the jurors? Who are they? Everybody... You can put 100 people in a line, and they all watch the exact same event unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them is going to have some sort of a difference in opinion. There could be some that have similarities, but there's always going to be little tiny nuances of new information and something you could learn from each and every one.
True, but that's why a jury's verdict has to be unanimous.
Yeah, and sometimes
it's not.
Is it ever truly unanimous? Because the court case will be rendered at a standstill. It'll be at a stalemate until someone just gives up their point of view.
Not necessarily. Then they get a hung jury, and then they find a new one.
It's true.
It would be a retrial.
But there are times where the juries, like, somebody just changes their viewpoint in order to settle because they're done being on jury duty. You see what I'm saying? Like, somebody's just like, hey, whatever, I'm the only one that doesn't agree, whatever, you guys just win, I succeeded, or concede, I mean, and here, I'll just sign it off, I agree, unanimous. Okay. Then that's not actually technically accurate, because now it's pressure. Now it's kind of like the bystander effect.
That's true.
You're going along with the masses, you're not going with your belief system. And that's been psychologically proven.
Right, so then that would be the case in which you would hope that, the death penalty would be swayed either way. Like, it would be maybe that they would vote to convict, but the penalty would be less if they had, someone that was fighting for not guilty or someone that was fighting for guilty. I think that the punishment might reflect that.
Yes.
Because I'm positive. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the inner workings of the justice system and how that works, how much of an effect a jury has over the end result and the punishment. Like, because I don't think that they don't determine the punishment. I think that's the judge.
And then it depends. How's the judge's mood on that day? How's the judge been influenced? What are the judge's experiences? You could have 10 different judges and they could all have different opinions and come up with different punishments.
Yeah. So it just,
everything's so subjective.
Everything is so subjective. It does depend on the situation, for sure.
That's why I don't think that rules are actually rules. There might be a book of rules, there might be the Human Rights Act, there might be all these things.
Maybe. But
the criminal code, but is it really black and white? No. Because it all depends. And that's why I think the rules are meant to be challenged and broken. Because you can't have one rule for everything.
You can't. There is so much of a gray area for so many things.
Yes.
It's a great way to think about things, really.
It is. It's also very exhausting in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Living in my head is not fun, y'all.
Yeah, you just squirrel in your own mind.
Oh, I do all the time. And I'll challenge myself. I'll have conversations in my head.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Right?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So, do you have any other final thoughts on that? That's kind of just where my mind goes.
I mean, I have many final thoughts, but I think that's probably for another episode.
That's true. Well, we appreciate all of you joining us and look forward to seeing your comments and suggestions and opinions.
And questions, if you have any.
Please do share.
Please do, yes. We're on the hunt for some topics. We have lots, but we can always use more.
Yeah, what do you want to hear about? Please let us know your feedback.
Drop a comment.
And make sure to free Stephen Avery.
Jeez.
Until next time.
Best degrees. Welcome back, folks, to another segment of Pause and Appreciate.
This one I'm so excited about. I feel like it's the perfect segue.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great topic this week.
Yes.
I think that this is a perfect moment to pause.
It is, and I'm very happy about it, so I'm excited to share.
Yes, please do.
Because obviously I have not been doing great, but I'm ecstatic this week. I don't know if it was the full moon, because I could not sleep since Sunday, and y'all, I was just putting spoons in cauldrons and giving them a little stir. Because those of you who know me and are getting to know me, I do not like injustices. I do not like lying or people hurting other people. And I really hate not taking accountability in people who play the victim.
Oh, yeah.
I hate narcissists.
That's true.
If you're going to be one, at least admit to it and take ownership and make things right and work on yourself.
I agree.
Don't be a jackass.
Don't be a jackass.
So I, in my, sleep-deprived state, reached out to a multitude of people who have put infractions into my life. And I have no problem letting relationships just fade away when there's been no animosity.
Yeah.
Sometimes lives just separate.
Yep.
But when you treat people badly and then you tuck your tail and run and don't speak the truth, I have a problem with that.
It's been a very interesting week, folks. I've gotten some phone calls going, oh shit, I did a thing.
Right? I did confess to my therapist that I had a confession, and totally that session was all about how I had not turned my feelings into felonies.
Well, and that was...
I should write a song about it.
You should.
But
I also feel like it was a good phone call to get, but a scary one at the same time, because you're like, I did a thing, and you're like, oh no, what did you do?
I know. I wasn't calling you for the Hooskow, though. So
no, but then you told me, and I was like, oh no, that's a good thing.
It all was good.
It was good.
It kept into today.
Yes, it did.
I finally, you guys, I will play the long game. I will get the truth and the answers to people who have intentionally or even sometimes unintentionally, but who have hurt me unjustly. I will not stop until I get the truth.
She's a little bit like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Yep.
I envy those. No, not psychopaths. I envy sociopaths. Because they are void of emotion. But I won't stop. I'm more like...
That's true.
I'd be more like Dexter without the murder.
All right. I gotcha.
But I will not ever stop until someone takes accountability and recognizes what they have done.
Yep.
And if you're not going to genuinely apologize because you honestly don't think you've done something wrong, then have the hard conversation, take accountability and responsibility for your part in it, and be truthful.
Yeah, I agree.
And don't think that I'm above playing the long game.
Mm-mm.
So why I'm so appreciative this week is because the people I reached out to, finally, and I've been praying for this for a long time, y'all.
Yeah.
The people that I reached out to, for a couple of them, it's been years. Oh yeah, most of them, it's been years.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Of not knowing what happened, why stuff went wrong, why I was treated badly, and I was always one to blame myself. And everyone's like, it wasn't you didn't do anything, it wasn't you, da-da. You know, you don't always believe it and you question yourself.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Well, a few people, no, there was like 4 people I reached out to finally came forth, told me the truth, told me the situation, and apologized and took accountability. And y'all, it was so liberating.
Yeah.
Because I learned 2 very valuable things.
Okay.
One, that I have a fabulous intuition. And
yes, you do.
And I really need to learn how to trust it because I was right in all those circumstances.
Yep.
Every single one.
All 4 of these people reached out.
All 4.
Or returned your messages.
All 4 got back to me in all 4 situations I was exactly correct in.
Wow.
And to hear the apology was amazing. Now, if I never talk to any of these people again, I'm okay with it because the air is clear. There's no animosity. Both sides were heard. There's no baggage.
And you know why it happened.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I'm also a forgiving person. So if they want to stay in my life, that's great too.
Yep.
The relationship will never be the same, but there's no animosity now and anger and all that stuff.
Trust could be rebuilt. It's
yes, it would take a very long time.
Of course,
but, yes.
but the potential is there rather
Correct.
than walking away without closure.
Yeah, I don't like cowards.
Yeah.
Man up or woman up and speak your truth.
Yep.
And the next thing I learned about is how valuable of a person I actually am. Because I have this ability to create very deep, genuine, authentic connections with people.
Yep.
And impressions that last with them.
Yep.
So even though they might treat me crappy or be in a crappy state of mind or do bad things, none of them have let me fully go.
That's true.
Or completely gotten rid of me because deep down, I don't think that they want to and they know that they can't because I always treated them very well. And on a deep, messed up level for some of them, they respect me and that's why they had to walk away because they know that they would cause me harm.
Interesting.
But each and every single one of them has a deep love and respect for me because of the authenticity of the connection and how I was there for them, that they know I haven't done anything to deserve that, so they wouldn't completely write me off because deep down they know I'm a good person and they do value and appreciate what has been done for them.
Well, and I will agree with you on that one. That is one thing that you that you're very strong in is, you know, when you invest in a friendship, a relationship, when you invest in someone, you are invested in them and their well-being and their mental health, their physical health. You make them understand that they do matter.
Yes.
Because, and I think that that comes from a very long history of not feeling that yourself.
Totally.
But I think that you definitely make that a point in all of your relationships and friendships. And I think that, yeah, of course, that is absolutely why people can't walk away because they know, like, you're good people.
Yeah, and I didn't see that of myself.
Yeah.
It just kind of got reaffirmed this week, and I'm glad you noticed it, so thank you for even saying that.
Absolutely.
I don't know the effect I have on people, and actually I was sharing it. Grant! You know, my hey, G-Wagon. I was telling him about what happened, and he was ecstatic to hear how I sounded.
Yeah.
And he was like, no pressure, but keep this up, because when you're like this, you inspire me. And a lot of people say I inspire them, and I don't see that unless people let me know that. I would have no idea that I'm having an impact in a good way on people at all without feedback.
Interesting.
I'm just kind of doing me. And so when I learned all these things and what happened, I was like, oh, I am valuable. Oh, I do good things. Oh, I do have a positive impact. So I'm very appreciative of that. So I wanted to pause and take a moment to recognize people that have the courage to come forward and be honest, and transparency is huge. I hope more people strive to be that way.
Well, and I know that it's inspired me to have some interesting conversations that I never thought I would have.
Oh, neat. Okay. Do you want to speak to that?
I can speak a little bit to it. There are people that I have had to distance myself from and take a step back from. And there are, for a myriad of reasons, but it's allowed me to see things through clearer eyes. It's allowed me to kind of take that step back and go, okay, you know what? I'm not really being valued here. And I feel like I should probably not be putting as much effort as I'm putting into this. And it happens, sometimes it happens with people that I haven't spoken to for 10 years and they just, pop back into my life and
totally.
They're there for a season, they come and go. And where I used to beat myself up about that and I used to, question what I did wrong, even though nothing happened.
Yep.
Again, like you said before, like sometimes they'll just fade, like the friendship just fades and it's not like anything bad happened.
Yep.
But it gives you a little bit of perspective. It gives you a little bit of, I guess, self-worth a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. And peace.
And peace. Yeah, exactly. So I think that, it's definitely made me take a look and just noticing, I see the behind the scenes. Like I know that you've been having a little bit of a rough time lately and it's good to see it's like a switch was flipped.
Yeah. And I feel it.
You can see it.
Interesting.
You can absolutely see it in your whole demeanor, in your whole,
interesting.
Yeah. And it's like night and day.
Yeah. I can feel it. I'm scared because I hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
So I'm very cognizant of that.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
No pressure, Grant. Remember, no pressure.
No pressure. But I think that's
a work in progress too.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like it's never one and done. Like
right?
it is something that you'll have to think about and deal with for the rest of your life because that is life.
Yeah. And
life happens.
Be here and learn these things without all the crap I went through. So
yeah,
I want to give that appreciation, love, and shout out to the people, if you're listening, who have come forward, who have been honest, and who gave that gift to me and allowed me also to make sure that you're okay, because I still felt bad. I was like, well, I'm sorry that you did. They're like, it's not your fault. I'm like, I know, but I still feel bad. They're like, well, that's why we love you, because you care.
Do you feel like it makes you treasure your close relationships a little bit more too?
Well, I feel like I always have.
I know. I mean, I always have
eyesight thing.
But I think that, like, I don't know, like, I think I'm a little bit more, like, I'll tell people exactly how I feel now.
Oh, yeah. I've been like, right? That switch flicked for me years ago, but the boundaries part's just building.
Yes.
And the sustainability.
Yes, that's true too.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
I agree.
But I just love it. So y'all, don't be scared to speak the truth and be authentic to yourself. Don't run from your feelings.
No.
Don't hide, because so much peace and freedom and joy can come from just having the conversation.
Yeah, even if you don't get the answer you want, at least you've had the conversation, you have the closure, you can move on.
Justice is served.
Justice is served.
Thank you for joining us.
Until next time. You're listening to Blind Chats with the Backroad Chicks. Thanks for joining our late night cruise.
For help keeping your drive alive, please tune in next week for more shenanigans.